In the military, when recruits join the army, they make them obey orders from their bosses or elders by creating an atmosphere of fear with hawks and bees. The same goes for bureaucratic companies. Bosses and executives control or pressure their subordinates by putting up authority through positions. This leadership may be effective in leading the organization, but it does not enhance creativity. The bad habits of tame employees in these authoritative enterprises include fear of change. Bosses and senior executives with vested interests fear new change. In particular, they fear that it will have an adverse effect on them. As a result, the fear of change in large and small businesses or organizations has become completely solidified, and this has become taken for granted and a habit. This habit is passed down, and the fear of change is passed on, and then exercised equally on new employees. However, human imagination and thinking ability are near infinite, as people's mindsets and behaviors do not change according to changes in the environment or circumstances. People will gradually degenerate if they have antioxidant deficiency, and one day they will fall behind in a huge change. A glass bottle of one's thinking ability. Keep it inside. What's even more unfortunate is that many people who have set goals myopia do not make the effort to think about it, but only what's given to them. It's a fact that I do it habitually. Goals are essential. However, if you set short-term goals, you will not be able to grasp the overall situation. Even though market conditions change and technology changes rapidly, future loss is complacent with the past situation and pursues only short-term goals like a habit. People who are far away should have dreams, and organizations should have visions. The organization loses only when they can present their dreams and visions can their employees plan for the distant future. Dreams and visions are a leader's compass to the future, and energy to overcome various difficulties. Graduation now. Habit of excessive respect for the past in organizational life. It has become common to follow the opinions of the majority, when one's opinions and those of others conflict. However, the majority opinion is not necessarily correct. In particular, organizations value the methods they have done in the past, that is, precedents, so they often accept them without much thought or follow the precedents. However, when you get used to these precedents, your creativity gradually disappears. 6. There is no better solution than the effort to put too much information into obesity. In many cases, the collected information is piled up without being utilized. Zero distrust has become chronic. If a company has a bad result in the personnel department, it may be disadvantaged, or in severe cases, it may be dismissed. So, even if you get good information, you don't want to monopolize each other and share it with each other, and you work together on internal cooperation. Of 17 cases, everyone in the organization has become a habit, so at that time, bad habits are transmitted and practiced. In this way, creativity is created by abandoning the habituated and unconscious enemy's thoughts and actions. Robert Telly Noah, after graduating from the raid, now? If you look up the meaning of habit in the dictionary, it is shown as follows. Habits are thoughts or actions that have become established on a daily basis. In our daily lives, we have so many thoughts and actions that have become solid. For decades, people biting their nails, people shaking their feet, people who talk only about themselves rather than listening to the other person when they meet. There are countless people glancing around during the competition, etc. All of these are people who are in the habit. These habits did not happen overnight, but within decades or years. It is no exaggeration to say that we live in a swamp of habits, whether good or bad. It is difficult to change an action or idea that has been hardened once. However, it is not entirely irreplaceable. You can change it with a little effort. Rover. They say they live in a swamp of habit, but they don't think they can get out of it. Why do you put your foot on someone when you just sit at your desk? The secret to breaking bad habits when asked is that everyone can answer quickly and reliably. Because I think it's a bad idea because I think about it myself. If you think you need to fix it, first of all, the person who has this habit is not aware of it. Because there is, it will have a very big effect. Because it's been a habit for a long time. Write it down on paper. Recording itself makes you perceive it as a bad habit, and what is clear is that these minor habits do not dictate the success and failure of life. Even if you recognize it, you don't think it's a bad habit specifically. Almost all people with bad habits recognize that they have bad habits. Therefore, writing down bad habits on your own gives rise to the will to cure. Take, for example, the case of a person who shakes his leg on top of it. When it became a habit, if you were pointed out that your voice was loud when you were talking on your phone, it was a bad habit, wherever it was. No matter who you meet and talk to, sitting at your desk makes you shake your feet. It is necessary to keep in mind that habit is the coexistence of unconsciousness and consciousness. This is because the habit of unconsciousness does not discriminate between places and times. As you talk to the other person on the phone, your voice grows without your knowledge. At this time, the voice is loud. Then, if you meet an important person and you are frivolous due to such habits, you will consciously lower your voice without realizing it. In this way, habits become ingrained in the body, and you get a bad impression, which can lead to failure in life. You can't easily change it. This is because past experiences are stored in unconscious warehouses. When talking on a cell phone, the moment you hold the cell phone, you lower down your voice at least once in your mind. Then, what can I do to make such a bad thing? Can I get out of my habit? Think about it and start by lowering your voice at the first word, hello. What is clear is that if this habit is something that you unknowingly ingrained in your body, think the other way and convert alcohol from unconsciousness to consciousness. If you lower the first word, you can soon enter the warehouse of consciousness. The moment you hold a cell phone, you can unwittingly remove the tube from your body. The moment he bit his nails, he did it unconsciously. At 0, the bad habit of unconsciousness has a bad effect on human relationships, and furthermore, it should be converted into a warehouse of consciousness to choose failure in life. As soon as he bites his nails, he consciously shouts, Let's not bite his nails. It doesn't take a lot of effort to turn the unconscious into consciousness. Be capable of bringing something to. You just have to be conscious. Mainly Milino. Old habits to be abandoned. With a little effort, you can get rid of bad habits and learn good ones. Then, the process of getting a new habit will be described step by step, as follows. Tini. Step 7. Step 1. We're getting rid of old habits and learning new habits is as easy as you think, is the first step. Habits, such as waking up early in the morning. Go jogging. It's a back tooth. However, with effort and passion, learning a new habit is not so much that you do not have until now, and you choose one habit you want to have now. It's not all about work. For example, if we decided to have a new habit of quitting smoking, we thought about how to do it step by step. Let's take a look at it after saying, I'm going to quit smoking. I swear, I can't quit smoking easily. However, when the decisive moment comes you accept new habits and abandon old ones. For example, if you don't quit smoking from a doctor, you die in a fog? When the extreme prescription is given to everyone gives up smoking. Of course, even if you die tomorrow, there will be people who won't quit smoking. But this is extremely rare. As such, it is difficult for a person to control his or her habits on his or her own until a decisive moment arrives. It depends on your habits. It's hard to break them. Step 1. Set a new habit you want. That is, a new habit to quit smoking. Step 2. Make a resolution after a new habit is decided. I decide that I will definitely quit smoking at this opportunity. Step 3. Removes cigarettes around and informs people around you of such new habits. Step 4. Imagine yourself after having a new habit. In other words, I imagine a healthy appearance after I quit smoking. Step 5. When you think of an old habit, that is, smoking, you shout out loud, I have to win. Step 6. If you have an old habit again, imagine how it would be when you were succumbed to that old habit. Step 7. If you won the war against old habits, I won the fight against myself. Cry out. Put to in order to succeed, you must throw it away. Rover. Accepting a new habit sometimes requires a lot of effort. But if you don't solve the habit you're having, who will solve it? When you also think that it is a habit that can determine your success and failure. If you want to succeed with your heart, you must solve the habit. When entering, take your time and think slowly. But if you have made up your mind, you should practice it firmly. Nothing is more miserable than failure in a fight with yourself. So, I'm going to make a new habit. I usually eat jelly beans. Right now, the P. Laziness is the worst habit. If you think you are a little lazy, you must solve the problem so that you can move forward and enter the path of success. We usually don't realize our laziness. When someone points it out, it's either a misunderstanding or a misconception about yourself. But such a person will fall into the trap he is turning away from. Ordinary people tend to be lazy when they encounter things that don't suit their personality or when they encounter things that they are not familiar with. In any situation, it is essential for your future to fulfill the given task as faithfully as possible, but you don't pay much attention. Laziness is definitely a bad habit. Laziness is a serious obstacle on the way forward, and an enemy that leads you to failure. So is there any way to get over this laziness that has become a habit? Of course there is a way. The best way among the methods is to make a program under your own control and practice it faithfully. No one can successfully cultivate their lives without losing laziness and indolence. This is certainly the worst habit, and the one who has this bad habit and the one who has it can surely succeed. So what is the self-control program that breaks the worst habit of laziness? X the 4 principles of the practice program to fix laziness. A normally lazy young man married a rich daughter and became even more lazy. He works for a company run by his father-in-law, but he has always been lazy and caused problems. In addition to going to work late, it was a daily routine to leave one's job to one's subordinates and miss playing golf. Hearing about his behavior, the company's president called him up and dismissed him as follows. If someone like you works at Huasu Zero, this company will fail in less than 10 years. And your family will wander around the streets. He quit the company and tried to get a job at another company, but people who knew him, who are usually lazy, wouldn't let him get a job. After wandering for half a year, he knelt down to the boss of the company he was working at again and asked for forgiveness just once. He asked me to teach him how to withdraw one habit. Then the company president said as follows. First, I go to work at 9 o'clock, but 10 minutes before I go to work is not time for the company, but time for myself. Second, organize what you have to do at the company. And look at the memo once a day to reflect on whether things went as planned. And third, don't chat with your colleagues at lunchtime. Also, reduce your break time to 30 minutes. Fourth, it is because the most important work at present will be completed perfectly in the shortest period of time, and there will be no further development unless the present work is completed perfectly. Taking the advice of the president, the young man faithfully practiced clause 0 and set the right path to life. A habit that must be avoided in life. Habits you must abandon. The following are the habits you should throw away for 5 successes. If first is the habit of putting things or work in front of you and thinking negatively. Everyone has only good things to do in their lives, and there is no pain or hardship. There is something that people say easily. Maybe not. It's going to be hard to succeed. No. People are excited for good and bad things to happen to everyone and blame others. The second is the habit of thinking about everything to the extreme. Such a person gets through it because he thinks of himself, even if he makes a small mistake. It bothers God. It's ruin. But successful people deal wisely when bad things happen. And people like the palace have a problem that they can just pass through in their daily lives. To the extreme T. However, there are people who are restless and nationalize their anxiety, even if they are subjected to the same thing. Depending on how people think, they can easily solve difficult tasks. And some people don't know what to do because they can't solve them. This is because those who cannot solve difficult problems keep the habits they have to throw away in their daily lives. However, if you want to succeed, you must boldly abandon the habits you have to abandon from today. The third habit to throw away is a decision to be made too hastily. Most of these people say they have to decide quickly. The fourth habit to avoid is to prove that you are perfect. People with this habit force not only themselves, but also their opponents to look like it. Then, if the other person is not perfect, it causes a nervous reaction. Finally, the fifth habit that should be abandoned is the habit of worrying about everything because life itself is unstable. People with this habit are diagnosed with heart disease, even if their chest hurts a little. The above 5 habits are those that those who want to succeed must abandon. Part bad habits that must be thrown away, in order, the habit of giving up in the middle of 0 to 06. It can be said that is not talent but persistence. It's easy to start anything, but you don't give it up and keep going. It is definitely not an easy task to do. Why can't we continue? I think the reason is that it's thrown away along the way. Or you will pray in a lazy heart. There may be times when you feel your limitations or difficulties along the way and stop. The reasons for the frustration are indeed various. One problem here is that a celebrity wakes up at 4 a.m. every morning and appears close-up of his mind with quiet meditation. That's how it feels at the start. It is said that he continues to adjust his feeling plans, his daily routine in detail, and then exercises. So the question is how difficult it is to keep it constant. Even if you go on a trip and your rhythm is easily broken, if you put in all your energy and effort for a long time, you will gradually get tired and irritated. You must do it without feeling it. It's a performance to start the day anew. For that reason, if you go to a certain point, oh my, shall we say something? It's been going on for about 15 years already. I want to catch my breath without skipping a day. It's really admirable to work together. If you reach the end of the game after a difficult time in Go, Janji, or sports, you'll win at this level. The tension is somewhat relieved by optimism at the thought of. There is a saying like this in the old famous saying. Then how many times do you lose in the blink of an eye because of such a relaxation of tension? He is not digging a well that will come out if only one more is dug, but is worried. Everyone knows that this is common in the world of competition. This is the same in terms of the challenges of life. If we dig one more letter, 30 centimeters, and 10 more, and the water will flood. It's about doing. If you give up along the way, all your efforts up to that point will come to nothing. Everything in the world depends on persistence. The last victory is a lesson for a man of strong persistence. It's sleeping. Anything is done by continuing to work. The words that are really important become very urgent. It's only about developing persistence by flogging yourself. If you have decided to do even small things in your daily life, work is more important than anything else in the planned indecisive habit. This is persistence. Say you won't be able to get into the water forever if you're scared, and keep your feet on the floor. When you learn how to swim, you can float in the water only when you have a strong mind and release your feet, and you can swim in the direction you want. The indecisive person needs to keep this word in his or her heart all the time. Those who are indecisive are afraid of failure and do not try to walk away forever. In other words, it is hard to make a decision. Goethe is the most unhappy person in the world, is an indecisive human being. I once said that. Goethe is not afraid of failure. I'm saying that. Fear your indecisive habits rather than failure by initiating an action. To be unable to do this or that is to be unable to make a decision in the end, because neither side is willing to abandon it. A determination is a determined determination to abandon either side. Replace bad habit filth with good habit clear water. We need to remember that we have a tube. Having creativity is not a difficult task. Creativity comes from habits. How do successful people break or abandon bad habits that must be abandoned for success? I am well aware of what good habits are needed to succeed and how to get them. Everyone has a habit. It's a habit I've had since I was young. People who abandon bad habits as soon as possible and have good habits try to break bad habits as they grow up. It accelerates success over a long period of time. The bad habits that are deeply ingrained in cannot be solved in a temporary way. It takes a lot of time and energy to break bad habits that have been tamed over the years. But in order to succeed, shouldn't you have to endure it to be treated like a human being? When I see a pot full of water, there is a lot of filth called bad habits in it. If you pour clear water called good habits little by little into it, the water in the jar will turn into clear water over time. From now on, I'll use a glass of clear water called good habits. Bad habits. Let's purify the water little by little. When you can't get rid of bad habits and you can't get rid of good habits, the path to success in life is a long way off. People who have achieved success go beyond good habits and are creative. Graduation. Port to bad habits that must be abandoned to succeed 0 for 7.